Welcome to Talkin Tires, the podcast that delves deep into the world of tires. Join us as we explore everything from the science behind the manufacturing to the latest innovations in tire recycling. Our aim is to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of tires, including how they work, how to maintain them, and how to dispose of them responsibly. Whether you're a seasoned mechanic, curious car enthusiast, or an avid recycler, Talkin Tires is the perfect podcast for anyone who wants to learn about the essential component of the modern vehicle and heavy equipment. So buckle up and join us for an informative and engaging journey into the world of tires.
All right, welcome to another episode of Talkin Tires. I'm your host, Craig Hunter, president of Tire Reclaim. I'm here with Craig Michael from Pleasance Construction. We've had a great conversation, and I just wanted to get him on for a podcast. You've heard a couple speakers from the 10th Annual Tire Recycling Foundation conference here in Denver, Colorado, and one was talking about dry process, another was talking about wet process, and this is all about rubber modified asphalt. So Craig has had the benefit of working with both of those systems, so correct. I thought it'd be great to have you on, talk a little bit. Obviously, this is Talkin Tires, so we're tire-based show, right? We talk about everything from manufacturing to recycling to the end of life. I mean, everything tires, this is where we talk it. You were just talking about being at the conference as an asphalt guy. You're at a tire conference. That's exciting to me because that shows growth, right? Growth in the industry. And we obviously are moving in the right direction when it comes to asphalt. So welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Go ahead.
No, this is, like you said, it's great to be at a tire conference as an asphalt producer, and the technology is pretty exciting. Even in its infancy, it's really great to have the privilege to run both of those for a DOT. It was great.
Yeah, so that's something I definitely want to get into, but I also want to talk about in Talkin Tires is the guys, right? The people.
Yeah.
So tell us about you. Like, where did you get started in construction, in roads, in asphalt? Where'd you go to school? Let's start there.
So at the age of 19, my father actually worked at Richard F. Klein as a superintendent in the asphalt division. So I got hired on and was on a utility crew as a laborer. About a year went by and I moved back to the lab. So my dad had a background in that as well. So he managed the lab for a long time before he decided to want to move up. Like, a position opened up, it worked out for him. Went back to the lab and was a field technician, testing density in the field for quite a while. In about 2009-ish, started going to school for civil engineering, was paying for school out of pocket, and the company I worked for went bankrupt. And so I could no longer pay for school out of pocket. Had to get another job. Pleasance Construction came in and acquired that plant, that asphalt plant, shortly after that. Loved the serving job I had, right? But I immediately got hired back in the lab. And I did both of them for a while, but that kind of wears on you, having two jobs. So, I would go out, I'd go to work, do the QC thing, field tech, and then I'd have to be in dress clothes serving tables at 5 p.m. every day.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where I didn't have to do two jobs anymore. So I gave up the serving job and then managed the lab, got promoted to manager. And
what's your day-to-day in a situation like that? So is it literally samples coming in from out in the field? Asphalt samples, you got your ovens, you got your this and that.
Sure.
Okay, gotcha.
So a day-to-day is, as a producer, you have your jobs. So in our particular case, we have our paving jobs, which require whatever mixes they require. So we have 3 asphalt crews. We're producing hot mix for our crews in addition to any private customers that want to come in and buy asphalt. So it might be, 25 millimeter, 19 millimeter, 12.5 millimeter, 9.5 millimeter, right? And so what I do is we test those mixtures in the lab to make sure that all of our volumetrics are in spec.
And is this real time, like while they're applying the asphalt and you got to kind of stay on it, or is ahead of time, you're making sample batches? How does that work?
So we have a continuous flow drum plant So a massive drum, right? Counterflow, so the liquid and the flame are on one end, stone comes in on the other end.
Okay.
Just mixes,
Yeah,
goes down.
I've seen the setup. Yep.
Goes up a drag, goes into a silo. If we have a really big day ahead of us, like let's say tomorrow you have 5,000 tons of asphalt going out, you might run up 1,000 tons for the next day so that when those trucks come in, you can just get them out.
Start
right?
loading.
You can load them and
Makes
get them
sense.
out. Crank the plant up, and then you start making mix again. So what I do is, whenever it's available, we'll test, second, third, fourth truck of a silo.
So it is real time.
It is real time,
Gotcha.
correct. We'll put some material in a box, bring it in the lab, and break it down to sample size, and we'll run all the appropriate samples. So we'll take the maximum gravity, we'll portion out a piece of this mix to figure out what the maximum specific gravity is, portion out a piece to do the asphalt content in an ignition oven, and then we make gyratory specimens, or plugs, some people call them, and that's to test the voids of that mix. And so you need these things to jive just to make sure that your plant's running correctly. So mix is running great. Oftentimes it is running great. The only way you're going to know you have a problem is to test it. The plant operator's pretty busy, so he's running the plant, loading trucks, answering the phone. He's doing a lot. So sometimes the plant can malfunction before he can react to it, right?
Okay.
We have probably the best plant operator in the state of Maryland, so it doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
It still does happen.
What's
Things
his
break
name?
down.
You give him a shout out.
Chris
maybe.
Willett, man.
All
Chris
right.
Willett, awesome guy, man.
Cool.
Awesome guy. So we do that on a day-to-day basis. So I manage the guys that run all those tests. We also do quality control in the field. So the guys will take a core rig out to the field with a density gauge. They used to be nuclear density gauges made by Troxler, and now we use electric density gauges. They're safer, they're lighter, they're faster, they're backlit, they're not federally regulated. So there's a lot of benefits to using an electric gauge over a nuclear gauge. Some
And
states
what is that
spec.
testing?
So that's just testing the density of the asphalt. So
As it's going down?
correct.
Gotcha.
So asphalt comes out of the paver, high 70s, low 80s% density, maybe mid 80s, depending on your setup. And then you have a knockdown roller that hits it, and you have a finished roller usually. Sometimes you only have one roller. Sometimes you have 4 rollers depending on how fast you're paving. So I have guys out there testing the in-place density every day. And that's really important for pavement preservation, longevity. If the void content isn't right, the voids are too low, water will seep in. And then if water seeps in and freezes and thaws, it's going to fail prematurely.
I've heard that's where the cracking comes in. Right?
Got it, man.
It's always
Got it.
moisture.
Got it. So my day-to-day is that. We create testing services for Pleasance Construction. So anything that we do, mix design, any of the volumetric testing, balanced mix design testing, which is pretty new to Maryland. We've leaned into that pretty hard. Maryland specs ideal CT and high temperature IDT as their crack and their rut test. So they have their own specs that you have to meet or exceed in these crack and rut. And so we benchmark all of our mixes and make adjustments to make sure everything holds up. The cool thing about balanced mix design, it's gonna give you an idea of how it's going to perform in the field. Don't ask me how long you get, but if you have something that has an excellent crack number, excellent crack resistancy, and you have rut resistancy, then it's good to have at least some performance data on mixes before they go out. Volumetrics are great, but I'm just shooting. Volumetrics to me are a little limited, and you can have volumetric mixes that fail BMD. They still pass volumetrics, and I think that's the shift in the industry, and it's very cool to be at the beginning of that.
Yeah. So circling back to tire rubber, what brings you to this conference? Where does that connection happen?
So we had been awarded a state contract, Maryland 650, and in fall, winter of 24, I was approached by the DOT, by Maryland DOT, to see if we would like to do a portion of that in crumb rubber. I had never heard of crumb rubber, other than what I've read. I hadn't handled it.
I got some samples on our table if you'd like to. Oh no, you probably know it now, yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff, man. So I was approached. Initially, in the early talks, they wanted to do a minimum of 1,500 tons on this job. So this job was about 11,000 tons total. So I spoke with my boss, and we landed on doing the entire project in crumb rubber, all 11,000 tons, and also using 2 different products to collect data. And so my life would have been a whole lot easier had I used one. But it's good information it was good data.
Right.
Good data for the state. They had a good idea of what this product is, what these products are. And so I had reached out to Doug Carlson from Liberty Tire and got his Smart Mix, and Red Clark from Asphalt Plus and got his Elastico. So I had gotten a super sack of each of these and played around with it in the lab. Felt pretty good about it. Modifying the asphalt to accommodate these really wasn't that difficult. There's a slight modification you need to make to the gradation. You need to make it you need to take out a little bit of fine material to incorporate the crumb rubber with the Smart Mix, and then you do the same with the Elastico. Because the Elastico isn't pre-swollen, you need to add a little bit more asphalt. The Smart Mix is pre-swollen with an oil,
right,
so you can
I've
feel
heard.
it. It almost feels like kinetic sand.
Interesting.
And so it's evident when you touch it, if you see them side by side. So I had a pretty good starting point. I had incorporated this into Pleasant's first BMD mix that was state approved. Okay, we had gotten in 2024. This happened at the end of 2024. Beginning of 2024, we had purchased an Instrotech Smart Loader. This is like a fancy press, okay? Everyone in the asphalt industry probably has a press in their lab because they have to do a test they have to calculate their tensile strength
You can't
ratio.
drive around with a roller on everything.
Can't do that, man.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
So a lot of asphalt producers are familiar with press. This is just a smart one. It does the same thing. It just calculates the CT for me. So I was benchmarking all of our mixes prior to this, which is great. So I was already familiar with the equipment. Had run some preliminary tests. Everything looked good. What we do usually when I want to explore technology, like I said, our plant operator is awesome. Our whole plant crew is great. My supervisor is awesome. He gives me the kind of the creative freedom to do these things. And so it takes a team.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, it takes a team of really great people to execute this as easily as we made it look.
So when you got the 2 materials and you're kind of like you said, one's almost like kinetic sand, the other one's pretty dry. Mm-hmm. What was running through your head? Did you have any idea of like, well, this one's probably going to be good at this, and this one's probably going to suck up too much oil? Like, what were you thinking when you saw those materials show up?
So you certainly play with them a lot. We have a bucket of them. Everyone likes to touch them. Like, it's kind of cool. We still have a bucket of it underneath our island in the lab.
Oh,
and
that's
occasionally
cool.
Somebody picks it up, and if you want to show somebody, like, you can smell it, you can handle it. I really didn't know what to expect. I knew what I had read, and I knew what I was being told, but I didn't know what to expect. So I'm open-minded, but you don't know until you do it.
Well, and we've had Red on the program, and he's talked about when there is a problem. So if you go out and do a project and then it's just gone bad,
yeah,
the expense of ripping up and redoing
Sure.
a road is astronomical
Sure.
and could be career-ending in
Yeah,
some
man.
cases. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a little bit of nerves and, coming out with something that's still a little cutting edge, right?
So I knew we weren't adding a lot to it. there is risk. There's risk in doing anything. Like the cost, you have the cost of being risky, and then you have the cost of not being risky, and that's way more in the long run. So
I like that.
We have a great plant crew. I knew if I did my due diligence. So Red is great. Red was a great resource with his product. Doug was a great resource with his product. So anytime I had a question, I just called these guys.
Yeah, they're very available, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, so you do research, and that'll kind of quell any fear or anxiety you might have. I was confident in my ability to design a mix, confident in my ability to test it, confident in the plant guys we had. So you just deal with one hurdle at a time, right? So I got the mixes designed. The next step is we're going to run some test shots out of the plant to see what kind of impact this has on the equipment.
Okay.
As long as you do that in a responsible way, you can sort of forecast what this might look like on the night you go to pave. And so we got the material, we got a super sack of each, and then I had gotten the fiber feeder from High Tech Asphalt Solutions. Also great. Shout out to Carlos and Aaron Soto and all of their technical support.
Love the shout outs because they'll probably watch.
Yeah, they were
especially if you tell them.
They were awesome at every step of the way, man. So we have our own fiber feeder, again, to mitigate risk. We just rented one. So there are some slight modifications you need to make to your feeder in order for it to handle the rubber. It's small, they take care of it, and that was a breeze. So got everything hooked up, got the dosage, had a starting dosage. I wanted to compare the two. And so the problem with doing two is that they're two different technologies. You're changing the mix a little bit, and you're changing the dose. The dose is different. It's too many changes. So if you want to, it's not really fair to compare them, right? How do you compare them if everything's so different? So I kept the dose the same, just for my own sanity. And we ran it, and then we did performance testing on it. So everything...
This is all before it's on the ground.
Correct. This is
gotcha.
preliminary. The preliminary performance data looked wonderful, man. Like everything was good. So I had already known prior to us paving 650 if it was going to work. That's the best way to go into a job, of course. So
650 is at the highway. It says
Maryland
highway.
650. That's
okay.
right.
How many miles? How many?
So it's from
Norbeck
Road to Maryland 200. It's about 11 lane miles.
Okay.
2 lanes, northbound, southbound. I did the entire southbound side in Liberty Tires Smart Mix, and I did the entire northbound side in Asphalt Plus Elastico. So I got the mixes where I wanted them, and then you have to submit them to the DOT for balanced mix design approval. And so you still have your regular mix approval process. Every state has a mix design approval process.
Oh, so it's going to another lab?
It's going to a DOT, yeah.
Gotcha,
So,
yeah, makes sense.
BMD just requires you to Maryland requires you to make 5 CT specimens for you and 5 for them, 3 IDT for you, 3 IDT for them, okay? And so we did that, got the mixes approved. During this time though, this is like early 25 at this point.
Okay.
During this time, we kept getting different results. The results were passing, but they were different. And we had our smart loader, and I felt comfortable with our equipment, but I didn't know, like the state has a different piece of equipment. There's a lot of different equipment out there. I didn't know if it was the equipment or the mix that was throwing these results. So we learned a lot about that. You want me to go into the mix? Do you want me to go into that?
Dude, talk about whatever you want, man.
So
if it's relevant, I want to hear about it.
So
we're gonna have listeners that might be trying to get into rubberized asphalt.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
This didn't happen on the rubberized mix, but this happened. This is related to it. So I couldn't figure this out to save my life. BMD's pretty new to me at that time. I was comfortable with what we were doing, but didn't understand like the nuance and sample preparation like I do now. So we had this issue, I have a buddy works at another asphalt plant, has the same equipment as us. So I made 15 specimens. I made them myself. Made 15 specimens. They were all in.
Make sure.
Yes, they were all in spec. What that means is they all need to be 7% voids plus or minus 0.5% voids. They all need to be 62 millimeters tall. The gyratory compactor does a lot of the work. It's a machine that makes our plugs for us, okay?
Okay.
So I made 15 of these up and I mixed them up. So imagine group A, B, C. A's got ABC, B's got ABC, C's got ABC. So they were all mixed up, everything was good. I sent 5 to him, I sent 5 to the state, and I had 5. And we cracked them, and then we compared the results. And so when you look at them, when you put them in order from start to finish, there's a clear negative slope. It's an obvious negative slope. So what that meant was the samples I made at the beginning were awesome. The last sample was terrible. It was terrible. And so what was happening was I was tanking the CT by leaving it in the oven too long. So I only had one gyratory compactor at the time. And so you have this mixture in a pan and you got to keep it hot. You also have these steel molds. I only had 2 of them at the time that I was using. And so I can make CT specimens. You can make probably 3-4 specimens in 10 minutes. Okay. The problem is you can't leave the mix sit on the counter. You got to put the mix back in the oven to keep it hot.
Makes sense. But then it went too long.
It went too long, buddy.
Gotcha.
Too long. And then you have to put your molds back in the oven because they also get cold. And so while you're reheating everything, you're just oxidizing your mix. And that has a negative effect on CT index, big time. It's a good learning experience. So we figured that out, and we've since modified our specimen preparation procedure, which was, and we're
more
constantly
of the
doing
steel
that.
Cans.
Well, what we do is we'll portion it out correctly into pans, and then we let it cool, and we stagger it into the oven. We'll put one in the oven, and we might wait 15, 20 minutes to put another one in the oven. That way they're all in the oven for the exact same amount of time. When you go to
exact
run
same
them.
amount of heat.
Exact same amount of heat.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so that was something that was just in real. We learned that in real time.
Yeah.
So
a little trial and error.
It happens, man. If you're doing
it's exciting if you think about it, right?
It is.
This may be something that you're setting up that's going to be for generations. I don't know if you've been back to the roads, or if you drive on them all the time, maybe.
Yeah.
And so you get to see that, and see your work in real time, and it might be the start of something much, much bigger. So it's nice to be a part of that R&D, in my opinion.
It was beneficial, man. Like it's good that this happens. And this happens all the time, right? You just have to make adjustments to what you're doing, and you'll get it. So, I mean, everything went well. Night 1.
So now it's going down on the ground.
Now it's going down on the ground.
Okay.
Night 1, everything went well. Density was
in the evenings. Okay, that was another question I have. So you're calling it nights.
Yes, paving at night. So that presents its own set of challenges, rubber or not, right? So plus the job's 50 minutes away. So not excellent. The conditions weren't that bad. Night paving presents its own challenges. Job distance presents its own challenges.
Whether it's rubber or not, you said.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, I mean, it went well. The plant handled it well. We had no buildup. Fiber feeder worked flawlessly.
That's both wet process and dry?
Just dry.
Oh, okay.
We just did dry process chrome rubber.
Okay.
So, testing went well. We learned that because the rubber's in the asphalt, there are some other modifications you have to make in the lab so that you don't pull your hair out. And one of those is using a post-gyrate delay in your gyratory compactor. So what that means, there's a machine that you put asphalt in a mold and you put it in this machine. And it applies a load, okay? and then it applies an internal angle of 1.16 degrees. And as it's gyrating at 1.16 degrees, it's compressing this sample to get 600 kPa. So at the end of the required gyrations, the gyrations are the ESL levels of the design determine what gyrations you run your mix at. So we don't have to get into that, but it's putting a load onto the specimen and it's gyrating.
Okay.
It's literally going in like a circle, right?
Interesting.
And so a post-gyrate delay just means the last gyration, when the machine's done, the ram head doesn't come down. It holds that there. Now it's not really, it's just holding the specimen in place. And it's cooling inside the mold. And so you want that because you need to be able to calculate or measure the voids accurately. If you don't do that, what happens is you take the specimen out and the rubber kind of expands a little bit. And if it expands, your void content will be different. And so that's really important when all of these specimens need to be the right void content. So
some more of that trial and error. You just gotta kind of learn.
And that's what it's best practice to do it. If you're unsure, just do it.
Yeah.
It takes a little longer, but at least you know that you're eliminating a variable. So
now you're applying, you're putting it down.
Yeah.
How'd it go? How was the second night?
Went well, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, everything went well. The texture of the road was beautiful. So the surface texture came out of the paver well, rolled in well. Handwork was, I'd say at least no change in workability. At best, may have increased it. It's kind of subjective. That's important because when you got a guy out there who's looting or shoveling mix, if it's tacky, it's going to slow them down a little bit. It's just more stuff for them to do. Yeah, right. Yeah. It's more they have to do. It's more work. Probably going to hang up in the hopper a little bit. It's going to affect the MTV. So we used an MTV on this job. It's a shuttle buggy. All this is doing is mixing the mix from the dump truck. So the dump trucks are dumping into the MTV. That's mixing the mix, and then it's being it goes up a conveyor and it drops into the hopper, right? And so it's just another part of the paving train. Ordinarily, a dump truck backs right up to the paver and dumps his load. So there was no hang-ups, like there was no tackiness. In fact, if you didn't smell it, you can smell it. There's a strong odor of hot rubber.
Okay.
Unmistakable. If you couldn't smell it, they wouldn't know. Just workability, tackiness, there was no change over the parent mix.
Interesting.
So field density was great. We didn't have any trouble getting compaction. The cores verified that. We have to drill cores out of what we paved. Ran those, everything looked good, man.
I'm hearing a lot of positive. There had to be some negative. Did you run up against any issues?
I had negative, obviously the growing pains I had in the lab. We didn't damage the plant. We didn't break anything. It's good.
That's good.
So there's a lot that still needs to be observed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The only way to do that is for us to do it again, or for the state DOT. So what ended up happening was they were happy with the job. Those two products got approved in the state of Maryland for use. That's important because if another producer on a state job wants to use a product, it has to be on the approved product list in Maryland. So that happened, which was great. Maryland is now speccing 2 more jobs using crumb rubber, okay? Great. Why that's good for us, I wish we were the ones that got that work, but it's out of our territory. Why that's good for us is that we get to see somebody else use it in their mixtures. And I get to maybe, if I'm lucky, hear about their results. How did it go? What problems they had? And that really just improves the industry. The more you do it, the more you familiarize yourself with it, the better you are the next time it comes up. So that's a pretty great outcome for the first time you use something.
Yeah.
but a lot of work went into the front end to try to make sure that
Sounds like
outcome
it.
was the,
Yeah.
like I said, you have a responsibility to represent these products fairly. And so that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of collaboration. We had a lot of cooperation from the DOTs. Like I said, I had a lot of cooperation at the plant with the plant personnel, my direct supervisor, all the lab guys.
A lot of it comes down to the guy, the people, right?
Yeah.
I keep saying guy, but man or woman.
Yeah.
The people and their pride in their work.
Yeah.
They're willing to be a part of something new. And I commend you for that, right? Like you
Thank
took
you,
it as a project that you wanted to see done right. And as a crumb rubber producer, that's very important to me because it goes back to when you make a mistake, you were a server. If you give someone bad service, they're going to tell 8 of their friends.
That's right.
You give somebody good service, they might tell one person, right? So the negativity travels much easier than the positivity.
Yeah.
So the fact that you were able to put that much feeling into it and kind of respect the product, if you will, to the point, and I'm sure you were telling other guys too, like they're like, man, you're testing that an awful lot, right? And you're probably like, I want to make sure it's right. Like this is a real big opportunity for us and for rubber, and I wish you'd have got the other jobs too, but if they're out of your area,
it's out of our territory.
I think you're, just caring. It's really shows. So I'll commend you for that. I'll say thank you because you never know what that might spark. So is there anything else that we didn't cover on this project that's standing out to you, or maybe you're getting excited? You're looking at maybe another. Is there another RFP coming out? Or?
So we have another contract in Frederick.
Okay.
Which is great. It's closer. You can keep an eye on it more. And they want to do a portion of this contract, probably 45,000 ton contract. They want to do a portion of that in crumb rubber.
Okay.
That's awesome. That's, like you said, it's a great opportunity. And I think producers should look at it like that. So I'm representing the company and we want to put out a great product, right? But you want to be able to provide any product to your customer. The state of Maryland is our customer, right? We get the knowledge, we get the extra tonnage. That's awesome. At the end of the day, that's great. So you should look at it as an opportunity to learn more, hone your skills a little more, and be a good steward of the industry, if you will. And so this is part of the industry. And so if
glad to hear you say that.
The sustainability, the environmental, that's all great. When you add something to asphalt that increases the performance, that's pretty rare, and it's green. So there's a lot more to this whole thing than even I knew. You know? But if you get the opportunity, you should take the opportunity. Jump on the opportunity, man. Don't be afraid. There's enough resources out there. I provide consulting services for Pleasance, right? So there's enough resources out there where it doesn't have to be so painful the first time you do it.
What's the best way if somebody wanted to reach out to you and pick your brain on this? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
You can shoot me an email at craigm@pleasancepaving.com. Give me a call, text.
You can put your phone number out if you want to.
Yeah, 240-534-8255. Give me a call. So consulting with BMD Volumetrics, we do a product evaluation service. So somebody wants to try something that maybe they're not too familiar with. I'll evaluate it in the lab. If I think it's safe, run it through the plant, put it in an actual hot mix, place it on an actual job, and you can evaluate it from start to finish. So I'll perform performance testing on it, give you the results, you interpret them however, hopefully that information is useful. And then we go from there. But
I think this is going to be a popular podcast. I really do. I think there's enough stir in the country, people really wanting to know more about it and getting some real life, real time data and information from you. I mean, I think that can only do great things for the industry, both tire recycling industry and the RMA industry, just
I'm
asphalt
happy
in general.
I'm happy to be a part of it. It's exciting, man. Like the day-to-day QC, right? You know how to do your job. BMD stirred it up a little bit. Like it's going to force changes, hopefully for the better, in that you have fewer, you have more maintenance-free years in the future on your roads. That's the function of BMD. But anytime you get the chance to explore new technology, that's pretty exciting, sitting in my seat. So,
Great.
like I said, if you guys get the opportunity, you should take the opportunity to try these things. So,
Fantastic.
man.
Well, thanks for coming on, Craig. I
Yeah,
really
thanks for having me.
appreciate it. So there you get it, folks. That's rubberized asphalt or rubber modified asphalt. I've heard different terms, but we have somebody here, Craig, that put the work in and learned a lot, sounds like.
yeah.
And he might share that with you. So if you want to reach out to him, do that. Reach out to me, whatever helps the cause, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for coming on, man. Great podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.